Hey guys, welcome back to the not longest running weekly Epic Sonic Corn Bros. I'm one of your bros. We'll get into it. I'm one of your bros, Aaron.
And I'm your other bros, Jacob.
You're probably wondering where we were last week.
No, they weren't.
Yeah, considering I think I checked, nobody watched last week's episode, so who knows? Maybe you thought about us.
Maybe.
I just looked at you. So, first of all, I just want to say thank you to all the linemen, all the city crews. First, thank you to the linemen for restoring power. A lot of people are like, "Wow, what the fuck?"
We'll get there.
We'll get there. And thanks to the city employees and outside trucks that came out from different states to haul trees away.
And the National Guard.
And the National Guard, which our mayor didn't want to call right away. But, okay, so we'll get into it. So
what happened? Why do we need to thank all these people?
we had a land hurricane, is the easiest way to say it, hit Iowa.
And not just any, hurricane. It was a Category 3 equivalent.
Yes. And it basically, we live in Cedar Rapids. I think population almost 300,000. It had basically wiped out all power throughout the entire city.
So in the state, I think it was about 500,000 were without power.
Yes, because it didn't just affect Cedar Rapids. It had affected...
No, this storm slammed through Cedar Rapids. It slammed through Iowa. It slammed through Illinois, and then finally stopped in Indiana.
Yes, it was a pretty strong storm, and I think Cedar Rapids wasn't the beginning, but it was basically at the point where it's like, okay, it's ramping up.
Yeah.
So I guess we're basically what this episode is going to be is just kind of talking about where we were at the time that this I think we call it a derecho. Derecho, something. I call it derecho. It just in my head it just makes more sense. But where we were at the time, when we both looked at Kenny, our cat. I thought he was pissing.
That's what I thought too.
But I think he's just licking his lips. Well, I don't think cats have lips, but licking his mouth or something.
Yeah, he's slapping his tongue.
But so I guess anyways, August 10th will be a day that I won't soon forget for at least a month. So Sunday we had gone for a walk and we were talking, and I was telling you, yeah, I got money in the bank, for the first, if something were to go wrong, if my AC or my car were to break down, I should have money to fix that. But I don't want to be at the point where I'm like, shit. And then Monday rolled.
Wait, hold on. Another thing we had talked about is I'm like, what we could do we could use some right now? Some rain.
That's true. You did say that.
I'm like, yeah, we could use a little rain right now. I would like to go out and mow my lawn at some point.
So just keep in mind that these past 2 weeks have felt like a couple months. So it's still fresh in my mind, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah. So yeah, I remember because I thought about that too. I'm like, well, we've had rain, but a little more rain wouldn't hurt. Whatever. Not to retro. So we were also talking. I think this was this the Saturday that you went to buy Rocket Arena?
Yes.
Okay, so
that was that weekend, yeah. So
it won't play a major part in this, but it's a reason why that we were talking to each other. So Monday rolls in, and it's starting to get dark out. They had said on the weather potential strong winds, and they say this every storm that comes through. There's the potential for some strong, damaging winds, and everybody just kind of goes, yeah, we heard it.
You live in the Midwest, you go, okay, cool, whatever.
Is it a tornado? No, okay.
Strong winds. Let me get my heavy duty outdoor chair.
It's true. So I sleep in the basement, and we were that's where my TV and stuff is at. So we were I just got done playing. I just woke up maybe an hour or two before. This is probably about like 10 or 11, somewhere in there.
Yeah, you sent me the party invite around 11.
Okay.
So I didn't get on until about 11:30.
So I had just probably woken up, and so I'm like, well, I'll play Snack World, and then you joined, and I was like, well, have you put Rocket Arena in? You're like, just put it in, installing it now, and I'm like, damn it, and so because I knew in Rocket Arena that there's also a you have to practice. Do a tutorial. It's kind of like mandatory to do. I don't think it's mandatory.
No,
but
I think you have to do it.
Okay, which is it's good. It's somewhat of a good tutorial. But anyways, so now it's getting dark, and the wind's starting to pick up, and where I live, my cable for my power and my cable and internet is all on a pole, and it goes straight to the house. So it was starting to move back and forth, and so my lights started flickering. And I said, well, if I lose power, if for some reason my power goes out, that's why I left the party. And then you're like, okay, and then you heard the sirens go off, and I'm like, well, fuck, they didn't say tornadoes were. And so I'm like, well, I don't hear them on my side. And then shortly after, my sirens went off. And
then my lights started flickering.
Then your lights started to flicker, and you're like, and so then in my head I'm like, okay, something is happening, because your light, these lights here don't flicker unless something big.
No, they just go off.
Yeah, basically. So within. Shortly after you said that, I hear a loud bang at my side of my house, and so I'm like, okay, something's really happening, and so I think that's when our internet had kicked out, because I got kicked out of the party, and so I'm like, okay, I'm probably gonna lose power, so let me turn this off so I don't have that annoying system update or the restart.
Yeah.
And so I turned that off, and just as I got it off, you hear a and I'm like, oh shit, the tree came down, because after that the power went right off. So now there's heavy slamming and water now hitting the wall of my house. You got anything, right?
About the time that you got kicked out of the party, I went over to my basement window and I was looking out, and just a decent sized branch just flew straight past and slammed into the neighbor's house. And I'm like, oh, that's what we're doing today, huh?
And then you went upstairs and
yeah, because the power finally kicked off, and so I'm like, well, I guess I'm going upstairs. I'm going to watch this storm, and I was just, I went up there and watched it.
So now I had gone upstairs because I'm hearing slamming and water just hitting. I mean, it was probably we'll get to the gust speeds in a little bit, but it was like, okay, I have a screen door, and so I grabbed my cat and I went back downstairs, and I had went into my room and closed the door, because I know for some reason LeBron was like, I gotta watch this. He kept he's like, I think he was a little nervous too, because he was like kind of pawing at the door, like either I want to watch this or I don't know what the fuck's going on. And you had something with your cats.
Yeah, one of the cats was just overstimulated because she's sitting up there by the window. And so it's like, My mom's just like, you gotta pet her. You gotta, you just gotta pet her right now. I'm like, okay. And then the other one, our half cat, was like, I want to go outside.
It's like, no, you don't.
So
you're safer inside right now.
Yeah, at some point I had to carry him around, and he's like, yeah, for some reason he's just pawing at the door. He's like, let me out. Gotta make sure my other homes are safe.
And then your last cat was like MIA.
Yeah, she just disappeared as well, and she didn't come back until the storm was over.
So I'm in the basement right now, and I hear this ripping sound, and I have a metal roof, and it was not installed by professionals, and so for the most part it stays up pretty good. I mean, any storm that comes through, you don't notice it. But this time I'm hearing like this ripping sound, and I'm like, okay, there goes my roof, and then I hear like this. I'll never forget it. If you ever watch a storm movie, you know how when you hear things flying over you, like a metal, like a roof or like something metal, you hear it. Well, I heard that noise. I'm like, holy shit! I really thought my roof was gone, and so I had walked back upstairs, and like I said, it's still just slamming against my house, and so I'm like, okay, going back downstairs, and then at some point. I called my boss. I was like, hey, yeah, I'm probably not gonna come in. I think my roof might be going. And he's like, well, the storm will be over before work time. So I'm like, okay, yeah, okay, whatever. I hung up. And so then after I hung up, I heard like another slam, and I heard water, and this is where I was like, I wasn't nervous. I mean, I was nervous. I wasn't scared of dying, but I was at the point where I'm like, okay, I'm gonna lose the fucking house, because I thought the roof was gone. I literally thought the whole top was just gone, and I thought that my screen door had busted. So I'm like, okay, well, the way the wind's coming in, I'm gonna be taking water. I'm gonna be taking a lot of water, and that's like that. So I went back upstairs and. I think it was starting to slow down a little bit, so I was like, okay, I'm going to stand upstairs, and I went to go look, and so I saw this metal thing in my yard, and I'm like, okay, well, there's my roof. Oh, good, it didn't get that far. I'll let you go.
For the duration of the storm, it was basically just me pacing between the living room windows and then the kitchen windows, because I wanted to see all the damage that was happening. And at some point, the neighbor's gazebo got uprooted from the back of their house, and it flew over both of our houses, or at least between them, and landed in the front yard.
Jeez.
And so we had a greenhouse outside that was flying all over the neighborhood.
Yeah, you guys had just put that up this year.
Mm-hmm.
And you also put up a fence, too, this year.
Yeah. Both those things were a pain in the ass, and both those things are gone now.
I mean, it's not...
The fence didn't go from wind damage. The fence went from the neighbor's branch falling on it and just, like, pushing it out of the way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because my neighbor also had put up a new fence this year. And they had put up I think it's called like a vinyl white fence or whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean the base. I mean it was still standing, but every section the pieces were just gone. And my other neighbor, she also has a white vinyl fence too. And the corner piece, fucking just it took it all out.
But yeah, no. The other thing, like you could just see the sheets of water flying down.
Yeah.
And you couldn't see across the street.
Yeah, it was coming down pretty.
It was a hurricane.
Yeah, yeah.
In Iowa.
Yeah.
You know, that place that doesn't have hurricanes.
So I had now after seeing the shed, it's a shed. It's not actually my roof, so I was kind of happy. We'll get to that. But I had walked to the front, and I have two trees. One tree I hate because it likes to fight me when I'm mowing. What I mean by fight is the branches like to smack me. And then my other tree, I don't know what the tree's called, but it gets these giant white balls in the springtime, and then when a gust of wind comes, it looks like it's snowing.
Oh, so it's like a cotton tree?
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. But that tree was obliterated. I mean, it was in the neighbor's yard. I'm like, oh no. Luckily, Phil wasn't living with me at the time, because I'm pretty sure his tree would have been, or the one tree stayed up. I'm pretty sure if his car was there, that tree would have hit it.
Yeah, would have relocated inside his car.
Yeah. So I think now it's starting to kind of die down. It's still windy, but it's not as strong. Like the big part of the wind is gone, and so I'm just kind of looking around, and you look up my street, and now and keep in mind, in my head, I'm like, most of the time in Cedar Rapids, we're lucky if a storm comes in or something happens. It's usually a section of the city. It's not the whole city, so you don't have to focus. But this storm had come in, and it had wiped out the entire grid of power to Cedar Rapids. So I'm looking up the street. I'm seeing tree down, tree down, tree down. I'm just like, holy shit.
Yeah, once it started to slow down, we went out to the back and started picking things up, putting it back kind of where it needed to go. And then I moseyed on over to the front yard, and, well, you couldn't get up or down the street.
Yeah.
Like, there was just, like, branches everywhere.
Yeah, that was my, not my neighbor, but his neighbor. His tree had fallen, and it had blocked the road. So now this is the part where now everybody's making calls. So the phone system is basically there's like probably only a couple phone lines that are up. So all the phones are going through these different towers. So you're kind of in the dark in a sense. So I had got a hold of my boss. I'm like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to come into work. And he's like, yeah, just take the day off. And so I'm glad, because I have a coworker that works in another department that lives around my area, and he told me that it took him 3 hours to get to work, and it only takes 20 to 30 minutes depending on the stoplights. So I mean, I was kind of happy I decided to call in.
Yeah, I went out and I started taking pictures of the street, just so I could build my case in case I didn't feel like going to work the next day. I couldn't go anywhere. There's branches everywhere, man. Unfortunately, everybody in my neighborhood decided to come out, and
everybody has a chainsaw, and they're like, yeah!
Oh, there were a lot of chainsaws.
Oh, yeah, that was mine too.
Like, I'm just like, I don't even recognize half you people.
Yeah.
And they were just out, and they had everything mostly cleared in like 20 minutes, and I'm like, oh, come on, guys. I mean, I've got the pictures, but, at some point, like, maybe my boss will come down that street and be like, oh, that's not like,
So, like I said, all of Cedar Rapids, every store, any place that didn't have a built-in generator was out of power. Mm-hmm. So you couldn't go anywhere. You couldn't get. And
no, there were places that didn't have power that were open. I work at one of them.
Yeah. Well, I guess what I was trying to say is if they didn't have a generator, probably. I mean,
they had generators.
I bet you where you work that everybody was probably told to leave.
They stayed. They were there.
No, the employees, or not the employees. The customers.
Yeah, they were still there.
Okay. Well, then they must have worked fat because. So what?
I think they had to stay inside during the duration of the storm. But I went in the next day, and my boss was telling me how hectic it was the night before.
I can believe it. Because so we had toilet paper pandemic. Mm-hmm. Now we have gas pandemic. Mm-hmm. And there's no gas stations that are open.
Mm-hmm.
And so you had to drive out of Cedar Rapids to get gas.
I went on a 3-hour journey to get gas. And that wasn't even for me.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys had... We bought Dad a generator because our basement, I think we've talked about this in previous episodes.
Probably.
Has the storm drain or whatever it's called. Sub pump has crapped out or the power's gone out. So, but Dad's like, we're getting a fucking generator. And so we had got a generator for Christmas. And it took 6 years to finally use it, but it came in handy.
Yeah.
So I had lost. I haven't lost. I gave most of my food to you guys because I'm like the frozen. I can't make any of the frozen shit.
You don't want to just gnaw on it.
Yeah. So I had given you the frozen stuff, and I'm like, all right. Well, I'm prepared to lose. These dollar things. Because it's whatever. And so the first day was probably I'd say the second day was the hardest, but the first
Tuesday?
Yeah, I'd say Tuesday was the hardest, just because you're doing something on Monday. You're kind of like looking around, going, "Holy shit!" You're picking stuff up. And so I went up to my neighbors and asked them, like, "Hey, do you need help?" He's like, "No, I got pretty lucky. The tree landed on the house, but didn't cause a hole." And then he came back, and then just I'll finish this up real fast. Probably about a couple hours later, I'm walking in, and he's like, "Yeah, the tree went in the house." So I was like, "Oh shit." So I had found out that the metal thing in my backyard was actually my neighbor's shed that the tree had fallen on it, and then somehow this piece just went in the air and just landed around my backyard. And I'm thankful that he didn't hit the house. But my neighbor that's to the right of me, or if you look straight and then to the right, he had a whole tree land on his house and basically fucked up the entire base of the house.
Yeah. Yeah. They condemned it.
Yeah. I don't know how they got lucky, but they had got a U-Haul and started moving everything out. So there's nobody living there right now. Let's see, what else? I was going to say something.
Well, while you're thinking of that, so I had said this earlier, but there were places that were open despite not having power. I work at a hardware store, and we had 6 generators up and running to make sure the cash registers would work, and then we were just working in the dark.
But your boss had given you lanterns.
No,
for like Christmas and stuff like that.
Yeah,
right?
okay, yeah.
So he was prepared. He was getting you guys prepared for this.
Yeah, I've gotten a surplus of lanterns from him. Like I've gotten at least 3 or 4. But so I didn't know what the situation was on Tuesday when I was driving to work. I go into work at 4:30
in the morning.
So it's pitch black outside.
Yeah.
And before I leave, my mom's like, "Yeah, don't get pulled over because there's a curfew." And I'm like, "Oh, that's good to hear."
I don't think they enforced it.
I don't think they really could.
It's because and I had to get AAA batteries from you guys because the AAA batteries I had were dying, and for some reason I don't have them.
Well, nobody has AAA batteries.
Well, I have double A's, and then I have the C's or whatever they are.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like, I don't have AAA's. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll drive over, and every street there was trees and power lines down.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, in my head, I'm like, holy shit, I did not expect it to be that bad.
But yeah, anyway, so I got to work, and it's pitch black inside, but you can see people walking around with lanterns. So I walk up to the door, I'm like, "Hey, so what are we doing?" And the boss is like, "Well, we're going to start picking up, getting these, so our roof leaks at work.
Yeah.
Like, no matter how many times they pass it leaks. So there's just totes everywhere on the floor to stop the leaks. I'm like, yeah, so we're going to be clearing that out. Going to be trying to get stuff back to where it belongs.
Was there much damage in the building?
Not really, aside from where the water leaked, but like they were on top of it. There was just any kind of tote that they had over there just it was on the ground and it was ready.
Yeah, because there's some new buildings that were just built within the past 10 to 20 years, and they've had major destruction. But we'll get. Well, I guess we'll just get to it now. The Weather Service had put out that in a certain section, not too far from where I live, 140 mile per hour winds.
And that's not just for 5 minutes.
Yes.
That was sustained for 45 minutes.
Yes. And there's no way to prepare for, like with hurricanes and stuff, you can, you have time to get you have time to put things up on the windows to make sure they don't blow out.
We didn't have that.
we knew the storm was coming, but we didn't know that. We didn't know the severity of it.
But yeah, anyway, getting back to my work story.
Do you want to keep going back to your work story?
I do. This is what I was doing during the storm.
Okay, go ahead.
And so there was like four things in my department that were just sold out immediately, and I just had to keep telling people, no, we don't have it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we don't have generators. We don't have gas cans. We don't have service heads. We don't have meter sockets. We don't have anything right now. We don't have power cords.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Everybody else in town decided to come here too. So that was Tuesday. On Wednesday, I had thought about it. I'm like, okay, well, if I'm working in the dark, I should probably bring a lantern of my own. So I had looped one onto my belt, thinking that was a clever idea. That sucked, by the way. It was really uncomfortable. And it didn't help me all that much. I mean, it helped people find me, which was unfortunate.
Yeah, because you don't like talking to people.
So, yeah, I had done that, and it was mostly the same as what it was Tuesday. Mostly just telling people, hey, we don't have the things you need. We don't know when we're getting it, but we don't have it now.
Yeah.
One lady came in. I think this was on Tuesday. I was about maybe 20 feet from the entrance.
And keep in mind, there's COVID too. So.
And she comes in, she's like, I need help looking for... Wait, are you guys open? And I'm just like, you're in the store right now.
Yeah.
Yes, we're open.
Well, if there's a giant hole in the side, you walk in, you can ask if you guys are open.
I mean, I guess I have heard stories of...
She might have walked in through a hole, and they're like, oh.
Well, apparently, one of when they were building one of the stores somewhere along the lines, they didn't lock the front doors because you gotta be able to let the employees get stuff ready. And apparently, people came in just trying to shop. Like, no, we're not. The store's not even built yet.
Yeah.
Like, get out of here.
Well, they want to be first in line.
But then, yeah, so Tuesday and Wednesday, I had to work in the dark. And then on Thursday, we finally got power back. Or I guess it was Wednesday night. But on Thursday, we were good to go. The most damage that the store got was the sign out in the front was folded in on itself.
I mean, that was an old sign too. So
it was an old sign.
Maybe look at a nicer one.
Yeah,
the shopping carts? Talk about that?
Oh, yeah, the cart corrals. One of the things that blew into Aaron's yard.
Yeah.
So we had like 4 of them. We have 1 now. There's no trace of the other 3. They're just gone.
Yeah, because it's weird because Walmart still has all theirs, so I don't know what...
Yeah, Walmart didn't have them, like, covered. Walmart just had... Like,
That's true.
And,
yeah.
and those are probably stuck into the ground.
You're right.
Ours, I think, were just kind of bolted down. Because, you don't get hurricanes in Iowa.
Exactly, yeah.
And they're covered. They do have a bit of protection from the elements and whatnot. So I'm guessing the wind just got in there and just uprooted them.
I remember what my neighbor said to me. He came out and he's like, it'll probably be like 4 days before we get power, right?
Oh, if only. I was telling people at work, I'm like, yeah, I'm prepared for 3 days. I'm prepared to
get back this weekend.
Yeah, I'm prepared to, get everything back, and no. I mean, I had it fine because I had a generator, so, like, I could watch TV.
Yeah.
And have the fan on. And then, so I got it back the following Monday at 3 p.m. So a week and a couple hours after the power went out.
Phil had texted you on Saturday. He's like, "Hey, I got power back."
Yeah.
And then Aaron had texted you. He's like, "Yeah."
On Sunday.
On Sunday, he's like, "Yeah, I got power back." And Jay was like, "Well, we have to be next." And so
I was figuring you'd get power because Phil only moved like a block down from where from your place.
Yeah.
And then on Monday I got power back. And then when did you get power?
I got that power back Friday. So when this podcast goes up, this podcast might just go up as soon as I get uploaded, because since we haven't done any videos.
Well, I mean, it's not like we can do anything.
So,
neither of us had Wi-Fi.
That's true. So if anybody's seen the videos that have gone up, every video that has gone up since I think the first Rocket Arena, since the last two podcasts, the Rocket Arenas, and then all from the vaults, those were all done on Saturday before the storm. So I'm like, I wonder if people are like, oh, because I was waiting for Aaron to text me like, oh, you got power back? You're uploading videos? Like, no, these are all scheduled. And so this video might just be an early.
Yeah, we gotta get ahead of the Cornucopia cast.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. So you had texted me. I think you got power back on Monday, and I think you texted me Tuesday, and you're like, so we doing a podcast this weekend? And I'm like, I don't have fucking power back, and there's like a bunch of games I was playing before the storm that I was like, I want to get done, which I ended up playing hardly any of them. But yeah, I got power back Friday, so that was fun, just in time before the heat wave that was coming in. So the one thing so I've had the windows open for the past 2 weeks. And when Phil was living with me, he had cats, and they had kind of pissed over the floor. And I thought I got the smell out, but as soon as I closed the windows, the smell just ramped right back up. And I'm like, oh my god! So I've been fighting that. I didn't have much damage. There was like a ripping sound that, like I said, I kept saying I thought it was my metal roof. But it was actually my chimney pipe. The wind had gotten in there and ripped it. So then that's where water was coming from. So I had called an electrician to come out, heating and cooling company to come out and fix the pipe. Luckily I got that done before the next. It wasn't a strong storm that came through, but it was a... Yeah,
but at that point it didn't need to be a strong storm.
So
just a light drizzle would be a major inconvenience.
Yeah. So luckily that's all done. I don't know about you. When people talk about PTSD, I don't understand it. Or I'm not like, I know it's real. Mm-hmm. But I've never had it before. I've never had something where, but I feel like I have minor. It'll probably be gone within a month. Probably in a year I'll forget all about this, and I knew there wasn't a big storm coming, but I knew that there was chances of rain, and so when it started to get cloudy and it started to get kind of dark, I just had like this, like a flashback, like, well, I hope that's not gonna be another fucking a big storm, because, like I said, when the weathermen go, oh, potential strong winds, you just kind of, you don't think about it. You let it go. You got a little bit of damage on your...
Yeah, I guess there was a bit of water leakage, but we don't know how it got in.
Yeah,
it got in somehow, but...
Yeah, you had like the runaround for the insurance where...
Yeah.
We're like, yeah, you have to pull out the wall, or, take out the...
If you don't pull out the wall, we might not be able to cover you for any
damages.
Any damages that may happen later down the road. but we don't know if we can cover you for pulling out the wall.
And we won't be able to get to you till September, so
and we'd like to pull out the wall, but we don't have anybody who can, put the wall back in.
I think it'd be fine to pull out the wall. I think the biggest thing is it's near the sink, so the sink would have to come out.
It's in the kitchen, so it'd be the entire...
the kitchen.
It would be the entire kitchen.
So you won't have a kitchen anymore. So it's kind of like, it's like, well, if we're covered, yeah, we'll pull it out. But
I mean, it's more of if we're covered and if you can get somebody to, put it back before waiting like a month.
Right, you're right.
Which is going to be fairly hard to do considering 75 square miles of city has been touched by this.
Oh yeah.
This derecho.
Yeah.
And that's just this city.
Yep.
That's not all the other cities.
Yep.
That's just this one.
Or the other towns that are around it. Yeah, it's a shit show. So, yeah, I think they said a lot of the trees. I don't know the percentage, but a good percentage of them have been taken out. So,
I mean, even today, 2 weeks after, almost 2 weeks after, you still go down streets and you can't see the houses because they've gotten all their debris and they've put it out in front of on the curb, and you just can't see the house anymore because there's just too much tree there.
Well, and still, we're recording on Sunday, so this video will probably go up on Sunday. There's still places in Cedar Rapids and the surrounding areas that still don't have power.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I'm fortunate to have gotten it back Friday. I was actually really lucky. I mean, it
didn't feel lucky, but
well, I guess it wasn't 90-degree weather and it wasn't humid. At least for last week, there was a nice breeze every day. So,
I don't know. I felt like I was sticking to my chair because we've got faux leather. I don't think it's real leather, but they're faux leather recliners, and I just felt like I was stuck to it, and I just had to peel myself off every time I got up. I'm like, oh, this feels gross.
Yeah, that was that Monday. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna sleep in the basement because I don't really have much light, and I want to be able to see where I'm going. But I literally, every time I was about ready to fall asleep, I would just get drenched in sweat. And so I just like, okay, I guess I'm going down to the basement. And so the only problem is that my neighbor had a generator. And he was nice. He had turned it off at night. But it was either 7, 8, or 9 in the morning. He would come out and turn it on, and I'd instantly wake up. And before this, I was waking up at 10:30, 11 in the morning. Now I'm waking up at 7 a.m. and I'm like, oh my god. So luckily, before I went to work, I saw the lineman out, and I was like, oh please, when I get home, please have electric. So got home, and it was the weirdest thing because I walked in, turned the electric on. And it feels like the first day when I moved into the house, the first night of having the electric on,
mm-hmm.
or having lights on and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, this is weird, but so the Saturday I did shit ton of laundry. I'm like, gotta make up for all this laundry and stuff, and I've been trying to figure out going back and trying to get rid of the cat smell, but
Yeah, no, I was downstairs at the time when my power came back on, and I only noticed it because the treadmill beeped at me.
It probably scared you.
I'm like, what the hell is that? And I look over and the treadmill's on. I'm like, is it a ghost? Is it a ghost coming down here and turning on the treadmill? I'm like, wait a minute.
Is that power?
Is that plugged? That's plugged in. So I run upstairs. I'm like, yo, I think we got power. So I'm hitting all the lights and I'm like, this is crazy. I haven't seen electricity in a week.
You're like, this was fucking amazing. But, so, I think that's where do you got anything else?
Not really.
Okay.
I think we've covered it mostly.
So that's where we've been, singing in the dark. At least, positive note, my aim, whichever way we want to take this, is better in the dark. So
That's because you can't see that you're missing.
I wonder. Well, that's. I don't want to go back to no power. That's rough. And but the other thing, there were some fucking houses that got leveled.
Yeah, in your neighborhood alone.
Yeah, well, close to my neighborhood. I don't. Oh well, yeah. I guess the one in my.
Well, I mean, in your certain little like community, there was at least 4 houses that didn't have roofs anymore.
Yeah, and
there was a laundromat on my way to work, and it was gone.
Yeah, yeah. The workout place, fucking destroyed.
Yeah,
and there was like a bunch of houses, where they were just built within the past 5 to 7 years, 5 to 10 years. The fucking roofs were gone. So it's like, okay, we see how you kind of went easy on the, or got the not the good supply.
Yeah.
So that's we should be having we should be getting back together the next weekend. I don't know if any videos are gonna go up this week besides this one. I'm kind of behind on a bunch of things, so I'm just kind of playing a bunch of games, and hopefully one sticks. And I might, and I don't know if I'm going to do this yet, because if I do it, then I can't upload the videos, because I have 4 more Rocket Arenas that I was going to upload last week. But we're going to play Rocket Arena, and I was kind of hoping we could maybe I'd stream it. Like I said, if I do that, then those other videos are gonna be like kind of outdated. But who knows? I think I got like
just put them up anyway.
I can just wait and
then put them up in the vault part 2.
Yeah, I was gonna say because I think I only have like 2 more from the vault. I was doing pretty fucking good. I was excited. I was getting shit done, and then it's just like boom, your world's coming to a fucking stop right now. You're doing too good. You're beating too many games. You gotta knock your fucking off.
So you're being too productive in life. Can't have that.
So, anyways, if you guys are at this part, thanks for listening. Like I said, we should be back to a regularly scheduled programming. And if you're at this point. Episode 10 of the Corncast. It's a special. I'll give it away. I don't give a shit. Nobody's listening. It's we're doing 5 of the top.
No, we're doing 5 games
that were ranked 10.
That were given 10 out of 10s by quote unquote reputable sources.
Yeah, so Corncast, we give Fortnite a 10 out of 10. So
we're not reputable.
We're reputable. We're on the internet. I can't say that fucking word.
We're not reputable though.
We got a badge.
We got a badge?
We got cards.
Can't believe you printed out That's why the storm hit. You printed out business cards.
Oh, you're being really too productive over here. Can't have this shit. So, alright guys, well, thanks for listening.
See ya.